Alrighty, everyone. So I'm going to go over how to do the homework that was assigned for you. We went over this in class, but I know that ZBrush is a lot to take in, especially after only 2 days of practice to sculpt ahead. I mean, I can explain these things to you over and over and over again, but that's not going to give you the experience that is vital to you getting better, right? You need to experience sculpting. So watching these tutorials is helpful so that you know, but then after you know and you take your notes and everything and you come back, then you need to practice, 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 right? And we're giving you these programs in little bite size, like every 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we switch to a new program. So it's not a lot of time that we get. Definitely the time that we are within that section, you need to put in as much work as you can outside of class so that when you go to the next semester or you go to your next step, you have the experience that is needed for you to be valuable to other people on a team. Okay, which is the name of the game. Right? So, enough ranting, enough rambling. Let's get started. Okay, so I have, let me switch this to your standard UI. Okay, so here's a standard UI, and first thing I'm going to do is go over here to this golden S, and I'm just going to click Sphere 3D, or if you have a primitive over here, you can do that too. Okay. So I'm going to drag this out on the canvas while holding Shift, and then I'm going to press T. So now it's an editable mesh. And one thing we never ever do is sculpt and or post work with this red wax material. Okay, so we're going to go to the basic material, and we're going to turn on Symmetry. So press X on your keyboard. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to rough this into shape. So I'm going to get my move brush, right? And to pull up the brush palette, press B, then isolate all the brushes by M for move, and then it's going to be different for yours. For me, it's B. For you, it might be B. So, whatever it is, press it on your keyboard. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see that? See what I forgot to do? You got to make it a polymesh 3D first. Okay, so now we got all of our options. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to kind of squeeze that in on the sides, right? Going to pull this out at the back third. Okay. Then I'm going to pull down the face. Okay. Pull down the chin. And we can see it's looking down, right? So if we put some eyes, it'd be looking down. What we want is straight ahead. So we just move that, right? We just move the chin forward. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth out right here along the temple, right? So we get this nice skull shape, okay? So now that I have the rough shape of my head, well, actually, let me fix this, okay? So we don't want this curve to be in the center. We want it to be in the back third, okay? There you go. Alrighty, and then now what we're going to do is we're going to dynamesh this, okay? So I'm going to go over here to the right under my subtool palette. I'm going to go to my geometry palette, and I'm going to click dynamesh. I'm going to change this to 32, and then I'm going to dynamesh it, okay? So now this is ready for creation. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this, hold shift, so that I can get to the bottom of the head. I'm going to get an appropriate brush size, so I'm going to press S on my keyboard, hold control, and drag that out, okay? Or draw that out, I'm sorry. Alrighty, so now I'm going to invert my mask by holding control and clicking outside. And then I've got my widget, and I'm just going to bring that down. And remember, necks that are straight up and down are broken. Okay, so we got to move it back as well. So that's a little bit more natural of the neck. Okay. So now I'm going to clear my mask. And I'm going to do it again so that I can re-dynamesh. Right? Okay. So now I'm going to smooth this out. So I'm going to hold Shift, smooth it out. So we are going to get our standard brush, okay? Which should be BST on your keyboard, right? So BS. For me, it's Z, but for you, it should be T, right? Excuse me. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go roughly around half, right? So if we take a look at this head, we'll go halfway, right? So we go somewhere around here. And press L on your keyboard to turn lazy mouse off. Get an appropriate brush size. And just dig it in, right? So if it's gone too deep, you can just hold Shift and bring it back, okay? There are the eyes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my intensity, and I'm going to kick this down to about 10. Around 10 if I can get to it. There we go. And then I'm going to get an appropriate brush size, and I'm going to draw the nose. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Okay, but we're just marking things in for right now, okay? So now what I'm going to do is create some ears, right? So I'm going to hold Control. I'm going to get a smaller brush size. And if you're ever wondering where the ear should be placed, just imagine that this person is wearing sunglasses, and then that's where the ear, that's where the top of the ear is going to be, right? So now I'm going to hold Control, click outside of the mesh to invert that, right? And then I'm going to go to the front and press W. All right, so if I go out like this, it's not moving out uniformly, right? It's going one side or the other. Why is that? The reason is because our widget is right in the center, and I have symmetry on, right? So what I need to do is move this off of center. Even just a pixel is enough, right? So you can just scoot it over a little bit, right? So undo that. So whenever we do that, you see how that other orange dot is right there? That shows up, right? So hold Alt and move this, okay? And now you got that orange dot, right? So now whenever we drag this red arrow, it's going to come out symmetrically, okay? So let's say that we want to get this back to center, right? So I'm going to get out of symmetry, right? So to do that, I'm going to press X. And then I'm going to click this periscope looking thing. It says go to unmasked mesh center, right? You do that, it's back in the center. Okay. So now I'm going to clear my mask and do it one more time to remesh it. And now we have our ears, we have our eyes, and we've got our nose. So the next thing we need to do is mark in our mouth, right? So to do that, I'm going to go back to my standard brush. I'm going to get a smaller brush size and turn my symmetry back on by pressing X. I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to dig in the mouth for a bit, right? So now we have pretty much everything that we need to get started, right? So what I want to do now is add some eyeballs in here, okay? So what I'm going to do is close out my geometry tab over here on the right. I'm going to open up the subtool palette, and down here, right next to duplicate, I'm going to press append. Then I'm going to append another sphere, right? And then I'm going to Alt and click on that new sphere, okay? So I'm going to scale this down uniformly, bring it forward, bring it to the side, scale it down to an appropriate eyeball size. And move it back. Squeeze it down a bit more. That's a bit more realistic, right? Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to mirror and weld this up to the other side. We covered this in the last tutorial. So basically we're just going to go to Geometry, Modify Topology, Mirror and Weld. Okay. If you get an error and it says the resulting mesh will equal in 0 vertices, so let me show you how to do that. How what's going on, right? So if you have the eyeball on the right side of the mesh, and you go to Geometry and Mirror and Weld, it's going to say the resulting 3D mesh does not contain any polygons, operation canceled, meaning that this is on the wrong side. Mirror and Weld works from the negative to the positive. Okay, so if you get that error, then you need to go down here to Deformation and press Mirror. Then go back to Geometry, Mirror and Weld, and it should work. Okay. Alrighty. So now what I'm going to do is add some hair. Okay. So here we go. Going to append another sphere. Alt click the sphere, move it up, move it back. Okay. And then we can Dynamesh this as well. So I'm going to kick this down to 32. And then press Dynamesh. Yeah. Alrighty. So now I'm going to get my move brush. And I'm going to make sure Symmetry's on. So I'm going to press X. Make sure it's on. And we're going to move this hair into place. We're not looking for anything amazing right now, okay? Actually, I'm going to, so we can do something like this. This is by Corey Smith, all right? Give it a like. Okay, so this is Corey Smith, so we can go through here and give you a rough idea about how I would create this character. Alrighty, so it looks like we're going to have to save this image. Alright, so I'm going to save this image to the desktop. And call it Corey Smith, Nightwing Art Station. And then we are going to open that up in Quadro. Add local image, go to my desktop, and Corey Smith, Nightwing. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to have this as reference. Okay. Right click it and always on top. Alrighty. So that's what we're going to use for inspiration, okay? So what I would do first is start knocking in all these shapes, these overall shapes, right? And we're just going to cut it off right here at the Nightwing symbol, okay? So what I'm going to do is alt click the base mesh, right? And going to use my move brush and try to get that get the overall shape of the head going, right? So what I'm paying attention to is how long the face is first. Okay. Where the nose is, how wide that is. And then we're gonna have to give it a little bit more heroic features here. Alrighty. So for this, we're going to have to interpret a lot of this stuff, okay, because we don't have a side view to go off of. So using the move brush, getting a nice little square jawline, making sure this neck is the proper width, right? So we can see that comes pretty much from the jawline, right? So I can solo this out, and we can see that I can widen this a bit. Smooth it out. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Right there. Smooth. Okay. So we've got that going, right? And then it gets wider here at the, you can see it gets wide where the chin is or the zygomatic arch, right? And the ears are all wrong, right, on mine. So we got to fix those. First off, they're straight out, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my move brush and just move those back. Move it forward. Right? And make sure whenever you're sculpting that you're looking at it from every angle that you can. That's the reason being very comfortable with your navigation is highly important. Okay, so continue practicing that so that you can get around and not get lost. Okay, so at this point I'm going to redynamesh it. Just hold control and drag a marquee outside, right? So with the move and the standard brush, we've got a lot done, right? And we can continue getting a lot done with just these two brushes alone in terms of overall shape. Okay. So I'm going to pull this chin forward. Okay. Pull this mouth and make sure it looks like a mouth, right? See, before it was flat. It's not the way a mouth is, right? Little barrel to it. Okay. And if we look to the side, very few people have zero yoke under here. So we're just going to make sure we fill that in. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see. What can we do next? Okay. We've got all that. Let's really hone in these ears a bit. And we can work on the hair now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alt-click the hair. And so for his hair, it's not symmetrical, right? So I'm not going to use symmetry either. So I'm going to turn off symmetry. Okay. So I'm going to use a new brush, right? It's called the Damn Standard brush. So for that, it's boy, dog, sandwich. Okay. Damn Standard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that line right there. Okay. So you can see with this, you get a nice thin line and you can really dig things in. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is start getting this overall shape, right? All these deviations right here are going to be separate pieces. Okay. So I'm not going to try to sculpt that from one piece. All I'm going to do is get the overall shape of this. Okay. So let's get our clay buildup, BCB, and let's start shaping this into place. Okay. So getting my move brush, making sure there's enough hair going forward. Make sure he's got some sideburns going. Using Alt, Smooth, Standard. Alrighty, so there we go. Ready. So getting the overall shape going, and we don't have to nail it on this pass, right? We can take our time and we can move to another piece of, and here in the back, I'm just going to use symmetry because no one's really going to see it. And I'm going to redynamesh. Right? Okay. And then I'm going to turn symmetry back off. Okay. And go. Alrighty, so we got the rough shape of it, right? A little bit too much in here. Smooth it out, bring it back, smooth it out. And we can knock that angle back. Okay. So there we go, right? Rough shape of it. Alrighty, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the face and work on that for a bit and get it ready so that then we can put on the mask, right? Because we don't want to have a lackluster sculpt and then put a mask on top of that, finish the mask, and then realize everything underneath it is wrong. And so now we have to recreate the mask again. Because if you try to move and try to form it to the face, after you've created it and you've changed the face, it's going to be a lot of headache. So what you want to do is you want to set yourself up first, and then you want to move forward. Okay. So I'm going to get this eyebrow right here going. Right, there's a little ridge right there, a little trapezoid action going. Okay, and for males, you're definitely gonna have a lot more forehead, right? So I'm gonna get my form soft brush, and I'm just going to make sure I have that emphasized. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is fix the profile of this nose. Okay, so we can see he's got a standard, little hero nose. Okay, so for that angle, it's something like that, right? Boop, 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 boop. Right, and so then we got to make sure it's make sure that angle's nice and heroic, right? Okay. So now what we have to do is BCB, and what I'm going to do is draw this over the eyes, right? Okay. And now I'm going to sculpt this in right here, right where the nose, right? That little line right here. Sculpting that around the chin, not into the chin, not into the mouth, but around the mouth and around the chin, right? So right around there. Right, so the next thing is that his chin is non-existent. It's lower lip and then like nothing. Okay. So most of these heroes have like a big old chin, right? They could take a punch. Right? There we go. And fill that in, smooth it out. And again, we don't have to hit everything perfect right now. We're just, we are just we're in the valley of the suck. You've heard me say that again and again and again. Okay, so right now, that's exactly where we are. And if we just keep faith, we keep trekking through, we will reach the end of the valley of the suck. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out these shoulders. And again, I'm not worried about how it looks right now. Okay, so I'm going to pull this forward, redynamesh it, okay, and then make sure make sure your body's not paper thin, right? So again, it's going to be kind of like a trapezoid action going, your chest, right there. And then we're going to pull this down so that we can get that angle. Okay. And then smooth it out. Okay. So back here we have too much back and not enough chest. Okay, so I'm going to pull this forward and I'm going to knock that back and smooth and smooth. Okay, and then make sure I still have a neck, right? So if I leave it like this is not a neck. It's just trapped going into the head. Okay, we don't want that. We want to keep our cylindrical shape. Alrighty. Right, so now what we need to make sure is that we didn't lose any of the width that we got in the beginning, right? Because we need the neck to come from the jaw. And it'll even do more so, it'll even come out whenever we create this suit as well, okay? We pretty much got a lot of things filled in, okay? So if you turn something in like this, you know, for your like second or third day, then we're good, you know. Then pretty much you just gotta finish the character and put the mask on him and stuff. But we're gonna get through all that, okay? So what I am going to do is going to fix these proportions again. Make sure we didn't lose anything because here there's a big shift form change right here, right? Clear. And right here is just a smooth thing, right? So I need to bring that out, bring those in. Okay, so we've got that fixed. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide this, and I think someone's mowing their lawn, so if you hear that in the background, my apologies. Okay, well, while it's going like that, I'm going to widen that. And we can see that his traps, right, pretty much right under his chin. Okay, so somewhere right about there, right? And then we can see it goes right here, then it comes out straight, so we can get that shoulder, right? There we go. All right, so obviously no one's shoulder is this wide, okay? So now we gotta make sure that we have a shoulder that's actually there, okay? So we're gonna pull that forward, get that going, okay? Okay, so we can probably get a little bit more underneath here, so smooth that out. There we go. Okay, so we pretty much got everything set up, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off Dynamesh, and I'm going to subdivide this. So I'm going to press Control D, and now I'm going to sculpt this some more. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make sure that there's enough depth around these eyes. Okay, so I'm going to hold Alt and make sure that I have eye sockets first. Okay. Then I'm going to press B, D, S, And I'm going to get my damn standard out and mark in some eyes. Okay. Then I'm going to press B and B and then move those eyelids forward. Okay. And notice how the eyelids are going around the eye. Okay, so make sure your eyelids aren't flat straight across, which is important to look at this from all angles. Right? Okay, so we've got our eyes roughed in. So the next thing I'm going to do is work on the nostrils. First thing I'm going to do is put in some nostril air holes, right? And just do that, okay? And then I'm going to build the nose around that. So using my form soft brush, smooth that out and get the nostrils going. Smooth it back if it's too much. Okay. Also, you can use your damp standard and just dig around the nostril. And you got that there. And sculpting that out and make sure it comes to the tip of the nose. Okay. You can see we lost a lot of shape here. So what I'm going to do is get that back by using my move brush. And then making sure all the forms stayed the same. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is use my damn standard brush again, BDS, and going to mark in that mouth. Okay. Then I'm going to hold Alt. Well, actually, no, that's too low geometry for right now. We'll fix that later. Okay, so we've got the mouth marked in. So now I'm going to use my form soft brush and give him some jowls, right? So alternating between Alt and not using Alt. Okay. So if we take a look at the shadow right here, right, we can see that we need to hit that as well. Okay. And make sure there's a ridge around the lip, right? You see that? Okay. Then just using Alt and just alternating between it. That's it. Okay, so put in the nose to cheek, and you can see that it's kind of flat on this side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is use my inflate and make sure that it goes all the way around. Alrighty. And let's see. Okay, so next we can put in the temples. So just going to hold Alt, dig that in, and Alt and dig that in. Okay. So we are definitely deep within the valley of the suck right now. Okay, but that's fine because we'll get out of it. All we gotta do is continue working. All right, so I'm gonna put some teeth in here so it doesn't look like he's just got a mouth hole. All right, so I'm going to append, right? So subtool, append a append a ring. Okay, I'm gonna go to that ring. I'm gonna move it forward so I can see it, and I'm going to scale it in the Y. Scale it down, and then just move it into place, right? So I can scale that down. And even stretch it out some more. There we go. And we can subdivide it by holding Control D, and then it's nice and smooth, right? So now we have teeth to build all this stuff around. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to put this right next to my image, and we can see what's going on. All right, so we're going to put the suit on him because I think this part down here is good enough to go. We can probably bring this down a bit more, actually. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay. So, we should be good. We should be good. Yeah, we should be good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press B, M, and then L as in, and then it's going to give you this notification. You just press skip this note until next restart and click Control twice, and then you'll be able to draw this lasso out, right? So now I've got clear, I can probably a bit straighter on that. Yeah, we can go there. Okay. And then whenever we extend the chin a bit more, it'll work. And apologize for the mowings of the lawns. Okay, so now I'm going to extract this. So to do that, I'm going to go down here in my subtool palette at the very bottom of it, going to press extract, and then just going to press accept. Right? And then I'm going to clear my mask. So now I'm going to go back to my head by pressing Alt and clicking it. And then we're going to fix some proportions with our move brush. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there we go. We've got that going for us. So the head's not done, right? But I am ready to take it to the next step. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to geometry. I'm going to go to Z remesher, which is right underneath Dynamesh. And I'm going to press, while I'm on my head guy, right? On the head, I'm going to press Z remesher. Okay. So now we can take a look at what happened. Okay, so before our geometry was like this, and now it's been retopologized, something a bit more useful to us. Okay, you can see how the edge flow is following along with everything, right? So that's something that we're looking for. All right, so I'm gonna press Shift F and get out of that. So now what I can do is I can press Control D, and now I've got I can get some resolution in here and start fixing these shapes and forms. Okay, so press Z remesher again. And there we go. Okay, so Control D, and there we go. Alrighty, everybody. So we are at a point where we can talk about what we can do to make this better. Okay. So I've got I'm not going to finish this character. Okay. I'm just showing you the basic stuff to create this character. Maybe some other time I'll finish it off, but this is just for just to illustrate some points. Okay. So I've extracted this mesh, right? And what I'm trying to do is get rid of all these wobbles. Right, I don't like it, but whenever I smooth it out, it doesn't look that great. Right, so then I can press Control D, and then I can smooth it out, and then we got this soft looking mask. All right, that we're gonna have to move and fit into place and do all this stuff. Okay, it's not the best result that we can get. Okay, it is a result, but not the best, right? So I'm going to delete this. Okay, so I am going back to this piece, okay, and I'm going to go to geometry, and I'm going to go to, well, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, okay, so I'm going to go down here and duplicate. I'm duplicating my head, right? So duplicate. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift and click that, right? So we only have the head showing. And you can tell which one's the original and which one's the second one, right? Because it's in numerical order. 1 and then 3, all right? So we're on the second one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to geometry, I'm going to go up to around subdivision level 3. If you're underneath that, if you're at 2, that's fine. All right, but we're going to press delete lower. Okay, so now we don't have any subdivision levels. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create this mask. Right, I'm going to use my topology brush to do that. So I'm going to press B, T, and O. Okay, so let's go over a few things on this brush before we get into it. Okay, so I want you to think hashtag. Okay. Always got to have a hashtag. So you see what's happening here, right? So let's go over this again. Okay, so I create one line and then another line. Okay, so these, consider them edges, but we have to have vertices, edges, and faces for anything to work in CG, okay, in terms of modeling. Okay. So I have to create vertices and I got to create a face. So now it's saying, okay, here's a face. There's another face. There's another face, right? And so then I can hold Alt and draw another line away from everything I've already drawn and let go, and it'll get rid of all those lines that we're not using, right? So according to my red, right? So I have a red brush size, and then I have a blue one, right? So the red one, okay, like your brush size will determine how thick that geometry is that is being created, right? So you can see that this is a whole lot sharper and a whole lot more clean than doing something from an extract, right? So let's create this mask, okay? All right. Okay, so we are going to start from here, right? And we have symmetry on, so we don't have to do both sides. We only got to do one side. And you can see that it's grayed out, right? Because we're in symmetry mode, right? But one thing you don't want to do is start drawing on this side and then move to this side. Okay? You want to stay on one side while you're drawing. Okay? So going to just draw this in, and remember you can use your lazy mouse so you can see how, you know, I don't have a lot of control. Well, I mean, I have all the control because through my hand, but I'd rather have a much finer line work that I can use. Okay. Also, you can get rid of these lines manually by holding Alt and drawing over them. Okay. So what I want is a lazy mouse. Okay, so I'm going to go to stroke right here. I'm going to go to lazy mouse. I'm going to turn it on. Alternatively, you can press L on your keyboard. Then I'm going to turn the lazy radius up to about 100. And now I've got this nice line that allows me to get really clean line work, which is what we want. Okay, because we don't want a bunch of wobbling going on, because then it'll show up in our final mesh. Right? So if it ever disappears like this, just Control Z and bring it back. Okay. Alrighty, so we're going to bring this down and make sure that I'm not drawing one continuous line. You can see how all these are intersecting. Right? So whenever you change your line work, you don't want to continue. So I don't want to do something like this. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, and then get rid of the lines that I don't want. Okay, so we're going to finish this mask. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create either quads or triangles. Okay, so for here, I'm going to go down, middle, and we need an eye hole, right? So I'm going to go there, and I'm just going to draw this in. Right? Notice how I did that eye. Okay, it's not a triangle. Okay, each one of these corners, these tear ducts in the corner of the eye, is got a flat edge to it. Okay, so then I'm going to manually get rid of these lines. Okay. And then I'm going to connect this one to that one, this one to that one. All right, before we do that, let's get one right here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline that one more time. Okay. Make sure you go across. Okay. Clear the lines that you don't need. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go from here to there. Okay. And then going to connect these. So now I'm just connecting all these lines. Okay. So here we've got where it's not creating the geometry, right? So what you have to do is you just got to redraw all this stuff. Right, you got to figure out which line you got to redraw, and it's a little, see, but now it's filled in. For one reason or another, it just wants you to redraw those lines, okay? So we're going to complete that line, okay? And this one as well. Oops, let's get a better line going. Alrighty, so now we got to solve this puzzle, okay? So let's do a couple things. We got a quad right there. Probably get rid of that line and just go straight out to the corner right here. Actually, we could probably connect this line. Oops. Right there. Yep, yeah, we can. Right, and then I'm going to move this one. Actually, I'm going to connect. No, what am I going to do? You can go straight across, straight down. Right. So now it's all connected, right? So I am going to add a little bit more geometry here. Okay. More there. Cross from here. Right. And we're going to have to redraw that. Right. And then straight across from here. And one more right there. And one more right there. Okay. So now we're going to redraw this stuff. Get all that going. Okay. So going to redraw the line straight down the center. Going to connect this. Connect this. Right? And the reason it's giving us this red triangle is because we need to add one more right here, and now it's a quad. Okay? And then we need to continue this line straight across. Oops. And then we're going to have to redraw this line right here. Okay. So one more time. Okay. And one more time right here. Alrighty. So now we have the mask pretty much drawn out. Okay. There are some things that we could do differently, but for this exercise and just getting used to it, I think this is more than enough. Okay. So now I'm going to create the geometry. So I'm just going to click on the mesh, and now we have the mask. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to Subtool menu, and you can see that the mask is unmasked and the body is masked. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go here to Split, and I'm going to say Split Masked Points. So now that head is by itself. Okay. So I can go to that head and I can delete it because we don't need two of them, right? So we can go back here, shift click the eye, and now we've got everything back. So now I can, oops, now I can go to my mask, I can go to my move brush, and I can start moving this mask into place. Okay. Okay. See, yeah, these eyes are way too big. Okay. So now we can take these eyes and we can make them a bit larger. Okay, so the reason it's doing this is because I don't have symmetry on. So press X and then it'll come on. But you can see it's going outwards, right? So we want to turn local symmetry on right here. And then it'll just come out from the center. Okay. So what we want to do now that we have these eyes in is that we want to form the mask around the eyes. Okay. So I'm going to use my move brush and just get that done. Alrighty, so I want to add some more geometry right here. Okay, because I want this to lay down on the skin. So I'm going to get my Z modeler brush out. And I'm just going to insert one of those and then use my move brush and move it down. Okay. So let's say I want to move this entire line over a bit, okay? Because it's a little bit too close to this one. Then we have a white spot right here. So I'm going to go back to my Z modeler brush, B, Z, M. I'm going to hover over this edge, hold spacebar, and slide. Edge loop complete. And then I'm just going to move that to the side. You can do that with this one as well, or any of these. Okay. Alrighty, ready. So get my move brush and let's get that going, right? Alrighty. So that is pretty much all you need. So you can use that method down here, right? Or you can extract it with a mask. It's up to you. You would obviously not do it with symmetry on because the symbol is non-symmetrical, right? But that's how, this is pretty much everything you need to know in terms of how to construct the character. Now to sculpt the character, plenty of videos I can do in terms of sculpting and getting that done, okay? But, well, let me show you one more thing before we go. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to turn off symmetry. I'm going to use my move brush. Give him a little smile. Okay. Alrighty. So that's how you would do that. Okay. So in the next video, I'm going to go over Z Modeler. I'm going to take a good amount of time, and we're going to make something with Z Modeler. And yeah, so it should be fun. I'm going to decide what we're going to build, and then we'll get to it. Okay. So if you have any questions, write them down in the comments below. Let me know what you want to see, what questions you have, and then I will most likely do a video about it. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, especially my ArtStation. And if you know anyone that's hiring character artists, let me know. Okay. Hit them up, let me know, let them know that you know someone that could probably help them. Give them value, all right? So you can hit me up. Please do. Always appreciate the feedback, and I will talk to you later.